Welcome, welcome, welcome to another beautiful day. Those of you that want to head back, I did just previously before I started this stream made a stream update on future coming things like that. Also, the problems I've been having with stream and things of that nature. I'm not going to go back into it, but there is a video available. Alright. Now, give me a moment to screen capture and learn all of this who's my what's it. So I click scene. I actually need to create something for window capture. So we create window capture. There we go. It doesn't match the entirety of that box though. So that's kind of a pain. We'll see. If it all gets in there, then I'll keep it like that. Because all it should be cutting off is just the edges. Yeah. That looks absolutely positively fine. We're just going to lose a little bit of the screen on the right, which is just black screen anyway, so it doesn't matter. Cool. Alright. Okay, first concept we're gonna go over is yet another concept by Lethargic Sauce. Keep in mind this concept. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on Lethargic Sauce's concepts from now on. If you didn't believe me before, he posts a lot. If somebody says something about something, he comes straight to the forum and then jots it down and tries to create a mini concept on it. I wish he wouldn't. I wish he would combine all his concepts into one post. It would make things a lot easier and it wouldn't just be crowding the particular forum with just half-baked concepts, but here we are. It's based on Naruto's Darba for a camera using killer. Trigger warning for anybody who may be affected by stalking and generally creepy behavior. Okay. Paragraph, whatever, say cheese. The leer. Well, anybody knows that leering is just, obsessively staring at somebody. If you leer at somebody, you're generally just looking at them in that kind of, that manner. That way that makes people feel uncomfortable. Tear radius 24 meters, speed 4.4 meters. All of this doesn't matter. The weapon's going to be a mic stand, not a mic pole, but a mic stand. Don't need to know any of this other crap. It's generally not information we need to go by. Alright, the Lear's power is Phantasmal Polaroid. You have 6 Phantasmal Polaroids that can be placed around the map. A Polaroid is the actual square picture that the old school cameras make. You know, you snap a picture and then a little film comes out, or a little square picture comes out that you shake. This part you're shaking, that little picture part, is the Polaroid. So, yeah. Already, that's one mistake. You have 6 Phantasmal Polaroids. They can be placed around the map. Placing a Phantasmal Polaroid takes 4 seconds, and picking it back up takes 2 seconds when a survivor moves within 16 meters in front of the Polaroid, and within a 45-degree arc. The camera flashes. When a survivor has been flashed, they suffer from the exposed status effect for 25 seconds. Their aura is also revealed to you for 6 seconds. There is no limit to how many survivors a camera can flash at once. After flashing, the camera goes on cooldown for 35 seconds. At any time, you may pick up a Phantasmal Polaroid if you flash yourself with the camera. Basic attack while using live feed, more on that later. You are given the haste, plus 5% status for 8 seconds. Why more on that later when you can literally just put it right here after this? Well, I guess you can put it there too. Special ability, live feed. At any time you look at Phantasmal Polaroid and press the secondary ability key to possess it. When a Phantasmal Polaroid is possessed, you can look through it while looking through a camera. The amount you can turn is limited to 180 degrees total. I mean, it says limited to. So being able to turn 180 degrees is essentially you can turn the full left side and then you can turn the full right side. So you can still essentially turn 360 degrees, just not all at once. Because you set the limit that you can turn. 180 degrees is literally straight behind you. So I can turn from where I'm looking all the way back behind me to the right, and then I can turn and complete the 360 degree angle if I turn backwards and go the opposite direction. So you still have 360 degree view, you just need to decide whether you want to turn left or right. Whatever direction you are facing when you exit the camera is the direction it will be left facing. And again, the only thing, like I said, half-baked concept. Guy places down a camera, not a Polaroid, a camera. If it flashes a survivor, they get 25 seconds of exposure and their aura is revealed for 6 seconds. Dumb. Or you can flash yourself and get speed. And then the live feed allows you to possess a said camera. To flash yourself, you have to possess the camera, turn, aim at yourself, take a picture, and then you get 6 seconds. The amount of time it's going to take you to, which it doesn't say how long it takes for you to possess a camera, by the way. But by the time the screen goes over to the camera, you find yourself in the particular photo, and you take a picture of yourself, exit back out to your regular killer, you've probably already used the majority of that time up, so you're not really getting that much of a haste effect. So it's kind of redundant giving yourself a 5% haste status effect for 8 seconds. When, let's say it takes 3 seconds for you to go in, take a picture of yourself, go back out. That is 6 times 4.6. Just for the time being, I'm going to round it up to 5. So that's 15 meters, or a little less than 15 meters, that you could already have traversed in that 3 seconds. And then you get the haste for 8 seconds to make up that 15 meters that you could have traversed. You essentially happen to go like 6 of the 8 seconds. So you're only getting an extra second and 1 point something seconds of extra movement speed at the end of that. So your live feed's already broken by nature when it comes to taking pictures of yourself. So I would take out the live feed flashing yourself, and I would just add in an add-on that if the killer walks by a particular camera, it flashes killer, and they can get a speed boost off of it, and add that into an add-on to where you don't have to do any of that live feed jazz. And then make it by nature that it doesn't affect killer when he walks by it. 2, you're throwing aura reading in every single concept that you have, and you're not implementing it correctly. You have to be the one to place said cameras down. So when you place a camera down, you're either going to place it at a generator that hasn't been worked on any, or you're going to place it beforehand and you're going to try to catch a survivor as they're running away from a generator by zoning them. You know, you're going to place it in kill shack and things like that, so as survivors are being chased, you can set up an efficient trap to get the exposed status effect on them, etc., etc., and down them. Or you're going to play the trap game where you just set cameras throughout the land, and as survivors walk in front of them, they trigger the particular feeds. 1, as soon as a camera flashes, the killer's going to get that basic, you know, like if a generator gets complete, you know, that flash that you get from there. That should be what the killer sees when a flash goes off. They should get a audio cue and then a psh. There shouldn't be any aura reading because they're going to know the direction that it comes from. You know, like when a trapper's trap goes off or something like that, that notification that you get. You're going to have something like that. A very small notification saying, hey, there's somebody there. Especially if you're going to expose them for 25 seconds. That's ridiculous to have aura reading of 6 seconds. And that camera exposing them for 25 seconds, because then it's just you walking over to them and slapping them. Again, being a crossed map, you know, within the barbecue and chili range, you get 4 seconds. I'm going to say this every time until this guy or somebody else lets this guy know. Barbecue and chili wise is 4 seconds, and like I say every stream, it's made to let you know where the survivor is and whether or not they're going to continue working on the generator, run away at a particular area, or hide. That's all the information you need to know. You don't need to know exactly what the survivor's doing for a long amount of time when it comes aura reading. It's not fair to the survivor. That means that survivor generally has to stand there for about 3 seconds after this particular perk triggers before they can actually pick a decision of a way to go or hide, or the killer's just going to cut them off. Waiting 3 seconds is extremely dangerous because that's distance killer's going to close in on you. It also doesn't make any sense to give him 4.4 speed and a 24 meter tear radius. He should have a much higher tear radius. He is a leerer. Literally is just oozing I'm a creeper to people that he's leering at. He should have a very high tear radius, 32 meters, and then his movement speed should be 4.6. He's not ranged at all. Amongst other things. I'm not going to spend a long time on this because this is a trash concept. All of the concept he makes are just ideas that he hears from people that he tries to visualize and put down very quickly. This is a note. I can already tell you there's no point in going over these perks right here. They're not balanced and they're not going to work very well. So there you go. If you want to see this concept and all of this, there's already criticism and things like this, etc., etc. Like I said, lethargic sauce, I'm not going to take the time. 15 minutes is probably the max I'm ever going to try to spend on any of his perks. Like I said, they're half-baked. He needs to stop. Put all of your perks and all your ideas in the one post, guy. Quit making separate posts. It's very annoying. Survivor perk idea. Special notice by Ryan the narrator. He's actually generally a decent poster despite having small amounts of posts. He actually gives everything he does thought. So I'm expecting, yeah, to see something decent. This guy, Bennett, they won them, if you remember him from past posts. This guy is kind of argumentative. He handles things professionally sometimes, but once he gets on that argumentative streak, there's no stopping him. Sometimes he handles things professional. Last time he didn't. You seen the bad parts of him when he was arguing with somebody that was generally trying to help him. He's going on a tear right here, and it's kind of funny how he says he can't see how any of these are remotely balanced when last thing I reviewed of him wasn't remotely balanced at all, and he was arguing with people that tried to tell him that. So that's kind of funny there. But yeah. Let's see. Ryan the narrator, what do you got to say? I have to say that most of the killer's powers were too overpowered. That means you don't have enough time in the game, but I mean with 19 posts, it makes sense. You probably ain't played the game that much. If you think killer's powers are too overpowered, you need to learn the game better. You need to play more, you need to learn things, you need to possibly look at some tutorials or something, but the only way you're going to get better is by putting boots on ground and just playing. I recommend all of these killer's powers that you're feeling are way too overpowered. I recommend leveling up the particular killer that you're talking about and trying to go for an iridescent rank. Wins. And I guarantee, well, if you even make it to iridescent rank, because I guarantee you'll be stopped before that, being somewhat new. But try to just get to iridescent rank and play a couple of games against a bunch of iridescent survivors and see exactly the true balance of the game. Because when you're new, everybody feels like either killers, if you're a killer, you think survivors are too OP. If you're a survivor, you think killers are too OP. You're going to feel that way the moment you start up the game. Once you learn the strategies and things like that, then your opinion changes the more you play the game and you understand the game's true balance. Say, the Wraith's wailing bell apparently makes him too overpowered. Wraith has the ability to be invisible, yes, but you can see the Wraith. Not as well as in the past, where you could see him cross map, shimmering and things like that, but you can see the Wraith as he approaches. When the Wraith comes out of invisibility, it takes him time. If you use your eyes and look around you, you can see when the Wraith approaches you, and you can get a head start on him. After he comes out of his calling or wailing bell, he gets a small speed boost. If you know that this is happening, then all you have to do is get somewhere where he can't use that speed boost against you. If you're by a window, try hopping the window, which makes him waste his little speed boost he does going around the window, or climbing through the window, whichever one he decides to do, and then play from there. Don't just run out into the open and let him chase you and catch up to you. You know, juke, 360s, do anything you need to do. Drop a pallet if you have to. I mean, if you're new at the game, it don't matter. Survivors are going to waste pallets anyway. Anything that you need to do to make sure he gets no value out of that speed burst. That's where most wraiths make the mistake, is they stand right next to the, well, yeah, they walk all the way up to a survivor, and then they come out of their wailing bell, and then they initiate chase. Doing that gives the survivor such a huge advantage if they're using their eyes. Again, low level, there's a lot of survivors that just stare at the generator and don't look around them. And they're like, man, I didn't see him come get me. Or they wait till something happens before they move. It's like, you need to learn to be more vigilant and learn, you know, the mechanics of the game before you get salty and then come on and make a whole bunch of different perks like this. So this is probably going to be a whole bunch of just angry perks that counter particular killers. The Artist's Crow attacks. The Artist's Crow attacks are easy. Very easy to dodge. If you don't run the predictable loop, you're fine. Instead of running through Kill Shack, jumping window, and continuing, you know, that particular line, you can either fake the crow and make them launch them earlier, or you can go to a different loop, or you can run a longer loop or different loop, or even run it different ways, or just use a flashlight and then just light burn the crow. You can also run into the crows if it does create that much of a problem to, I mean, you'll still get the crow swarm, but if you're in Kill Shack, run through the crow, locker hop, continue the loop. There's a lot of things you can do to counter the crows. They're not that particularly difficult. Runes like Ruin, or hex perks like Ruin. Ruin isn't that bad. For every 4 seconds that a generator isn't touched, it loses 1% of its progress, or 1 second off of it. That's how I do it. For every 4 seconds that go by, a generator loses 1 second. So for a generator to go from 80 seconds down to 1 second, you're going to have to do 80 times 4, which is 320 seconds. It would take 320 seconds for a 100% repaired generator, which can't go down, by the way. This is just an example. 320 seconds for that generator to degrade all the way back down to 0%. And the closer you are to finishing a generator, the less power Ruin has, but the greater the efficiency of Ruin is. For survivors about ready to complete a generator and you can chase them away from that generator for a little bit, yes, it's going to go down. However, if it's towards the beginning game and the survivors worked on a generator like 10% and they walk away, it's not even going to matter. It's not going to matter at all. Ruin isn't as strong as perk as you think it is. It's the survivors is what gives Ruin. They're the survivors' playstyle, more importantly, is what gives Ruin its power, whether it's good or not. If Ruin is giving you an issue, that means you're not doing gens. Again, at the beginning of the match, 3 survivors should be doing gens, separate gens, mind you. If you spawn next to a survivor, go find another gen. That survivor might question what you're doing, but don't worry about what they're doing. You do you do the correct thing. 3 survivors should be working on 3 separate gens. 1 survivor should be being chased. By the time that survivor goes down and gets hooked, you should have, well, you would want to have 2 gens popped. But at the bare minimum, 1 gen should be popped, 1 should be getting close, and 1 should be within like 10 to 20 seconds. Because, I mean, if you have to run and find a gen, you know, yeah. And you don't want to necessarily do all the same gens on the same side of the map. If you're running and you two people spawn in a gen, skip the next gen that you come to and go to the next gen after that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to 3-gen yourself. Because survivors literally, generally, just do a gen and then go to the next nearest gen, then the next nearest gen, and then you 3-gen yourself, and things become much more difficult. Me personally, if I'm by myself, I complete whatever gen I spawn nearest to. I go for the middle gen in the map, and then I continue crossing that same specific line, and then I do a gen on the opposite side of the map. That way, it's nearly impossible to 3-gen yourself. So, it's all about how you run it. And if you do happen to do the one person on one gen and two people on the other gen, by the time that first person goes down, you should still have 2 gens popped. Then afterwards, you know, use the hang time that the first survivor that got hooked has. Don't go for an immediate unhook, just in case the killer's camping so you're not losing time. Go to a gen that's nearby, start working on it a little bit, you know, see where it shakes out, see where the killer's going to do, whether they find another survivor across the map, or if they're camping or anything like that, you're not losing time. So use that hang time. You have a full minute. Use that time. If another survivor gets in chase across map, then now you know. You can pick that particular survivor up and go. Also keep in mind that if the killer immediately hooks a survivor and then goes cross map after another survivor, instead of looking anywhere nearby or kind of half camping, you know, going into the middle building where they can catch the unhook, they probably have Devour Hope. So keep that in mind, the Devour Hope symptoms that people can give you. Hex Pentimento is so unforgiving to survivor players. You are never gonna get a Hex Pentimento full 5 rekindled perk effect ever, unless you're in, like I said, just negligent survivors who don't care about totems. They just run through breaking every totem that they see just cause they can. You'll never have to worry about it. Hex Pentimento is just to give you kind of a secondary effect on any type of hex totems that you lose. Because, I mean, it sucks as a killer if you're especially running like a hag or something that uses a lot of hexes and you run them, and as soon as they're taken out, whether it's beginning of the game or midways, you're now just a regular killer if you lose all your hexes. Just like, well, I no longer have perks. So Hex Pentimento gives you the option to keep applying some sort of pressure to survivors so everything's just not a lost cause. It makes all hex builds more valuable. You say Hex Pentimento is unforgiving for survivor players, but guess what? If you break a hex totem, and next thing you know, you're getting a negative from Hex Pentimento, just go back to the totem that you previously broke, and break it again after you finish a generator, or next time you go into that area. Issue solved. If anything, I always considered Hex Pentimento useless. Yeah, the 20% gen repair speed is kind of a bear to deal with. I think it's 20%. Just like 17.5 extra seconds, which really, you know, is meh. So generally, if you're working on a gen and completing it, happen to spend an extra 20 seconds, isn't going to affect you much. I mean, look, in Phantasmal, this is what we're coming from Phantasmal, where it was active at all times, to Hex Pentimento. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Old Phantasmal, not new. New Phantasmal is very weak. You have to essentially injure every survivor and keep them that way in order for that to have maximum effect, which sucks. So, for the killer players being so stingy and dirty for an easy win, you're a survivor main. Gotcha. There's nothing to stingy or dirty about an easy win. They left me with no choice. I'll have to post some new perks for the community to retaliate against them. How are they being stingy? They're running perks that were added, and balanced by the Dead by Daylight devs. It's not an easy win. Like I said, if you're having problems, maybe you should actually do what people say when they're joking and get good. Go online, get educated in the game, watch some videos, and see the opposite side of things. Or go and play killer. Since you say it's so easy to win and things like that, prove everybody wrong. I want to see you start a YouTube series or something like that. Post that series into the bottom of this particular forum and show me exactly what easy means. And I better not see that you're an Ash killer going up against Ash survivors and you're like, see, GG easy. Nah, I want to see all iridescent players. I'll even take gold and iridescent mixed. I don't want to see no bronze or no silver or no ash or anything like that. I want to see a higher level game, and you had better at least get 3 kills and a hatch escape. Minimum. I would like to see 4 kills since they're super easy wins. But hatch is unpredictable. I want to at least see a 3 kill hatch escape from you. If not, come back in, change up everything, and actually try to make your perks somewhat balanced and fair for the entire game. Because again, this is just another salty perk. We had a bad run in Dead by Daylight, and instead of trying to improve the situation or just getting off for the day, he ran to the forum, and everything that he felt he had a problem with, he went and came and tried to change that. And tried to change it. This is what you get when you have essentially new spoiled brats playing the game. If they can't win easily, they don't want to play the game, or the game's too hard, or it's unfair. So, cool. This is extremely unfortunate that a particular person feels that way about the game. Before I even get into this wine fest, I'm actually going to take a small break and get water, bathroom, all of that, because I think I'm going to be here for a while. So give me one moment. Let's continue this nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Oh boy. Let me fix my chat box. There we go. Here are the requirements for perks ideas for mine. This page will be updated after the perks are completed. Lockpick. Token perk. Okay. Token perk doesn't tell me anything. Progressing generators by 48% to earn up to 8 tokens maximum. 1 token will unlock chests faster, 5 are required to open a closed hatch. You're an absolute moron. What do you think a key is for? What do you think a key's for? And the thing that makes me laugh about this is because even though you're trying to make it OP, it's not going to happen. So let's say you complete a generator. That is 2 tokens. You complete a second generator. That's 2 tokens. And then you have to go and complete another half of a generator. So you have to do 2.5 out of 5 generators. I mean, it's possible, but in order to do that, you have to essentially maximize your other survivors' hook time, and you have to use a gen rush strategy. You literally just have to gen rush. The only thing you're going to be doing with this perk is holding mouse 1 on generator and generator and generator. And if the killer finds you and chases you, you generally aren't going to be able to use this lockpick perk to open a closed hatch. But even then, let's say that other survivors just aren't doing generators at all. They're not doing anything. And you manage to get the 2.5 generators, or even 3. What gives you the right to bypass an item already incorporated into the game to unlock the hatch? This is how I know you're new to the game. You've probably just played 1 or 2 matches and you're already complaining about it. Keys exist. Why do all this token and gen repairing and all that? Plus, if you're gen rushing, there's no point of even looking for a particular hatch or anything like that, because generally if one survivor goes through and does the majority of gens at the beginning, you're going to get 2 popped. So there's going to be 1 already done by the time you do the 2.5. There's at least going to be 1 other gen done, unless you get a SWF that are just messing around on the map. That's different. But even if you do nothing, a random survivor will complete 1 generator, and you're already contributing 2.5 or even 3. That's 4 generators done. At that point, there's 3 generators left on the map, and you're going to have a killer running around. During that time, survivors generally will go and find a generator and try to do it just to end the match so they can get on to the next one. It's the end game. So even if you have dog awful survivors, generally you'll be able to at least squeeze 1 of them out, 1 gen out at some random part during the match, and then somebody will eventually finish off and do the last gen. So even crappy survivors, you should at least get a minimum of 2 gens. Of course, there are exceptions. I've been in games where the people have just been absolutely spooked and they've hidden lockers the entire game. And as soon as everything got done, they didn't move until the exit gates were open, and it was essentially a 3v1 match. But anyway, you're a moron for trying to incorporate lockpick when there's literally a key. A lockpick is essentially just a manual key that you have to do the tumblers with, as opposed to a key just doing it automatically for you. So stop being stupid. Stop being salty, stop being stupid, and do what the rest of us have done and have played the game, got boots on ground, got hours built up of the game, and learned to understand the game instead of being a spoiled brat and making random perks like this. Next salty review. Sport Combat pulls down pallets 50% faster, stuns killers 30% longer. Can cause a hearing status effect problem to the killer for 5 seconds. So what's happened in this situation is he probably got tagged pulling down a pallet, never got refunded because it was right before he got to it. He then went for a flashlight on the killer, just a single flashlight. The killer broke the pallet and then followed him. Or maybe he was smart enough to get a double flashlight stun. But what happened is the killer just listened to which direction he was going and continued to follow him, and then slapped him down. The hearing effect impairs the hearing of survivors in killings, muffling their audio and playing a high-pitched whistling sound. Stupid. It doesn't matter what you do. People that are wearing headphones are going to be able to hear through the audio. The best part of that, or the only thing you could do, is completely cut the audio, which wouldn't make any sense after a pallet stun. Have you ever heard a pallet falling in real life? If it's on concrete, it's sort of loud. If it's outside, it's not loud at all. And the pallets aren't even falling all the way to the ground. They're just landing upon the side of something. If you ever fell or watched or even been near a pallet that's falling over in like a 45-degree angle and then slapped up against something, it's not super loud. You already admit in this perk that Spirit Fury, Brutal Strength, and Enduring is going to clash with this particular perk, which already makes your perk unfeasible. 3+ perks. And instead of stunning the killer longer and all of that, why not just grab, like what Guy said down there, a smash hit, I think is what it's called. Pallet stun a killer, you get a sprint burst. It's everything you're putting here. Simplified. Stun killer, sprint burst. Helen's Foresight. When you're cursed by a hex totem, everything else is reduced by 26%, but when repairing generators, no skill checks are triggered and repair speed is increased by 27%. You're definitely new. I think you've only played one game of Dead by Daylight and just had a really bad experience. No skill checks at all, huh? So, you're giving up healing, rescuing, recovery speed, and cleansing speed. However, repairing generators is increased by 27%. So you're saving, 18 seconds off of an 80-second timer. So instead of 80 seconds, you're doing 62 seconds, just over a minute. And in exchange of that 20-ish round up seconds, your healing speeds reduced by a fourth of a time. So 16 seconds is now going to take 20 seconds to heal. How does that make sense? Oh, and then there's no skill checks on top of that repair speed, so you're just literally sitting there holding the mouse button. How does that make any kind of sense? You're literally trying to implement perks to where new people that join the game can literally just coast by without ever having to learn any of the game's mechanics. Connector, used to install a wire box inside the generator. It has 45% of its progression and highlighted in yellow. If the generator begins to regress without it prevents it for 20 seconds. The generator will become electrified and restore the regression penalty, but it's 50% slower to do so. Again, are you a moron? I think this guy's just not only salty, but extremely stupid and dumb in the way he's trying to implement things. Why would you ever put a wire box inside of a generator? Generator's sole purpose is to give power. You are repairing generator so that the generator can produce power. The way you're trying to do everything, making the generator become electrified and things like that, why not just install the connector on the exit gate? Or install the connector anywhere in the line between generator and exit gate, and that's just one gen completely done. When all the other gens get done, you activate said connector. It does an unlocks the particular exit gate for 30 seconds. And then it turns itself off. Now, connector could be usable if you implemented it in a way like that made it unique. 4 generators are done, connector activates, and for 30 seconds you get exit gate, progress. It's not going to be long enough of an effect for you to completely open up exit gate, but it'll be enough of effect to get like 50% progress done on exit gates. If anybody's there, of course. You still gotta trigger it manually. And then the connector fries, and then the other generator that it's on, goes back down to 0% or wherever it goes. And you're trading exit gate percentage in exchange for, generator power. It being 45% at this rate. That's another spin on this to make it unique and not as dumb. That way, if anybody's near an exit gate on that trigger, they can get it up to 50% of the exit gate pre-primed. That generator then, or the connector goes, the generator regresses to 0%. You then recomplete the generator, and then bang, you only have to do half an exit gate timer and you're out, instead of a full one. Anything that's like that would be helpful. Connector would also have a dual purpose of, let's say, the Trickster's perk that blocks exit gates when it first happens. The connector would make that Trickster perk trigger first. So then when you actually do complete all of the generators, that perk's now out of the way. And you'll have to add in a clause that, perks that are so-and-so and so-and-so activate during this particular phase and doesn't activate afterwards. You'll have to add clauses to that. So that's taking a shit concept like this and turning it into something at least usable. Another thing I'm not understanding about how you want to make this work, if the generator begins to regress and nobody prevents it for 20 seconds, the gen becomes electrified and restores regression. But what about ruin? That's a constant regression. And it's doing it at 50% slower. So does it just make ruin 0.5 seconds for every 4? and it just loses regression at a slower rate for 30 seconds, or you're just saying that it's going to be the same as a survivor working on a generator, because then at that point it's not 50% because you're stopping ruin from progressing. So you're getting that 1 second of lost time back, and it holds neutral plus the extra 50% on top of that, making connector extremely OP in some circumstances. So the obvious issues of connector here makes, well, your first 4 perks garbage. So you're at a 0 for 4 right now. Let's see how much worse it can get. Mechanical work. Depletion rate to toolboxes are reduced. Other survivors' spare speed increased by 4%. Buff does not stack. Streetwise. Depletion rate on all items is decreased by 33%. And then the toolbox itself increases repair speed and any other types of buffs or other charges you want to add to it fixes it. You're not even adding in new things at this rate. Shocking presence. Similar to barbecue and chili, if you fail a skill check when repairing a generator, the killer's aura will be revealed to you if the killer was blink meters away from an exploding generator. Barbecue and chili has nothing to do with exploding generators. It's on hook. They get a 4-second blip at anybody that's essentially outside of the tear radius, or outside of the regular tear radius with a little bit extra on top. And you're also rewarding survivors for playing bad. You're trading a 3% regression in like a couple seconds of time where the generator doesn't increase anymore for our barbecue and chili location check on the killer. I would literally just go to a generator that has 0 progress, blow it on purpose, and see if the killer comes my way. If I do see them coming my way, then I'm just gonna hide. The killer's gonna come by, kick the generator, look around, leave. You can immediately jump back on, lather, rinse, repeat. And if the killer doesn't go by, all you have to do is every skill check, just blow the generator until either the killer decides to come your way, and then you just hide again, and or you complete the generator. And this is on every generator. Anybody wearing this perk. So if you have an SWF party that just sucks at skill checks, they can literally just keep working on generators knowing where the killer is at all times. The killer's near somebody else's generator, somebody else intentionally blows their generator when they get a skill check. Boom, they can see killer location, they can call killer's location out, and you essentially have intermittent radar on where you can call out where the killer is. Again, bad idea. Boom, swift chime. After blessing a totem, your actions and movement speeds are 13% faster. The killer's action and movement speeds are decreased by 13%. Now, 13 and 13 is a 26% increase, not directly, indirectly increase that a survivor has there, percentage-wise. Killers losing 13, survivors getting 13, so that's 26% that you're working with here. 10% off of a regular killer, that's 0.46 off of their 4.6. So they're already down to 4.2. That's just 10%. Survivors moving at 4 get a 13% as well. Let's just go 10%. That's 0.4 added to theirs. So now the survivors are faster than the killer as long as they are within the particular boon radius. So now it doesn't even matter if you're running loops or anything like that, effectively. You have the third person camera, so you have the excess view, and you can literally just keep that killer at range, which forces them to go immediately for this particular boon totem, which in turns makes the survivor escape every time. As soon as they turn their back to go look for that boon totem, survivor's just going to use that enhanced speed to run to another loop. Again, survive with friends. If they all find different totems running this one perk, that's essentially a majority of the map to where they can just super speed the killer. Obviously, not thought through, didn't do any math. Garbage perk. Quick knee reflex. You vault windows and pallets 15% faster. There's spine chill and a whole bunch of other perks that already incorporate this. There is a 50% chance that the killer's attacks or grabs attempts can be avoided. So you're mixing spine chill speed effects with the automatic dead hard that may or may not activate. So yeah, it's about regular dead hard. Then they get stunned for 2.5 seconds if they miss. Oh no. If they grab you successfully, they get stunned for 2.5 seconds. So now we're throwing in decisive strike on top of that. And then it only has a 30-second cooldown. No exhaustion, nothing like that. So you can still run dead hard on top of this, which would allow you to extend the chase after this happens easily for another 30 seconds. You can easily go to another loop, or since the chase is broken, rerun Kill Shack or something like that, and just keep chaining this perk and keep stunning killer over and over and over and over and over. Killer would never get any hooks. Every survivor would run this perk because they would never be picked up. So you're not trying to balance the game or anything like that. You're literally just trying to make it to where killers have to stand in one spot while survivors go through and do whatever. If you want this experience, go play with bots. Go play with bots and you can win every single match. Every time. Leave the regular player base out of us. Us that actually have developed skill over the year. Leave us out of your shenanigans. Go wear grandma's sweater and go huddle with mommy and just hold on to her all day. You're not a gamer. You're just... I can't say that. I can't say that word. But you're not a gamer. Torn metal. After sabotaging a hook, a repaired sabotage hook will become a worn hook, and their ores were displayed in yellow. Worn hooks will have a reduced 12%, reduced sacrifice progress, and escape attempts to be 18% easier. Well, you literally just stole this perk from somebody else in the forum, so most of these are probably stolen, and then your method of rebalancing, aka making them overpowered, applied on top of these. I've already disproved this being effective in a previous stream. I'm not going to go over it again. Spare Searcher. Sabotaging 3 hooks for activate Spare Searcher. When empty-handed, hold the secondary button to search a spare part inside of a locker. Searching will take 16 seconds to complete and you'll obtain a spare part. Install it to a generator to complete. It's just brand new parts. If you're carrying a toolbox, you'll find a brand new part instead, and its total progress is 35%. It's just brand new part that you can use without a toolbox. How are you going to install this spare part without a toolbox? That is the whole point of brand new part being part of the toolbox, is you have the tools to install this brand new part faster. Absolute trash and doesn't even make sense. Fresh meat. After you've rescued a survivor, fresh meat activates. When successfully being unhooked, or you unhook yourself, your sacrifice progress will be reset back to 0% of its progression the next time you were hooked. The second time you're hooked will permanently deactivate this perk for the remainder of this trial. So you get 2 activations of going back down to 0%. And then it deactivates. Again, SWF, or just the general public using this perk, it's now going to take, let's see, 2 activation of that and 3 hooks. 5 hooks per survivor running this perk to get them gone. 5 whole hooks. That's crazy. And if you run kinship or camaraderie or whatever it's called, you can extend that for an extra 30 seconds on top of that. No, because camaraderie or kinship doesn't activate or deactivate after its use, so you can use that to extend that for 60 seconds. So you have to go through 6 phases worth of time, but you have to hook them 5 times in order to get them gone. And he already has a 12 ready, so this is probably going to be updated sometime in the future. No, I can't see how any of these are remotely balanced. Just run Prove Thyself, Boons, and Smash Hit. Essentially, yeah, all the speed that he's looking for. Boons covers the majority of what he's saying. Smash hits the pallet to the sprint burst. So there you go. I'm actually going to say, please remove and delete this particular post. We all get tilted at playing DBD, but this is extremely embarrassing. Throwing a tantrum in the forums. Not a single one of these perks are balanced and should. Yeah, not a single one of these perks are balanced. And should never have been brought here in the first place. Do not, in big words, continue to place perks here. Just go and put in the hours that everybody else has and actually learn the game instead of sitting on the side and complaining about the already balanced, beta tested, and finalized perks that are in the game. I guess not finalized. Refined would be balanced, beta tested, and refined. That are in the game, that are implemented by behavior. There. I hope you heed my suggestion. That's head, that's not heed. I'm giving you tough love here because it's kinda ridiculous. I can't freaking spell, dude, because I'm trying to spell and type what I'm saying at the same. I'm trying to speak and type what I'm saying at the same time. It's kind of ridiculous to take up a post slot going on a internet. Actually, I don't know about this. I hope you heed my suggestion. I'm giving you tough love here. But this needs to end ASAP. I wish mods would catch this and just end posts like this. I mean, everybody's entitled to freedom of speech, I suppose. And it would be against their contract because of this. But Ryan, the narrator here, even named Survivor Perks idea special notice on top of that. They're trying to attract attention to it. And then you look at it and it's just embarrassing. He's basically saying that his gameplay is absolute trash and he's struggling with the game and he's putting it out there. I mean, if you're bad at the game, you're bad at the game, but don't let everybody else know. You know what I'm saying? And the bad thing about this is, let me find here. He's gotten 17 views on this. And the 2 replies on those 17 views have both been negative to what he's been saying. The 17 people that came through looked at that, scoffed at him, and then continued along. Sure. He's on a roll. Why not see what else he's screwed up? New or reworked perk discussions. Already did this. Pros and cons. Don't need to go through any of this. So this is all the perks explained. I'm not even going to look at this. I've said my 2 cents on this. This is his reasoning when it comes down to particular killers. You can pause and look at these if you want. I already know what he's thinking. I don't need to go through all it. We'll look at the last one, the connector, since this was one of the ones that could be implemented if worded correctly and implemented right. This is the one that installs the wire box inside the generator that essentially counters ruin, but at a 50% slower rate. So you'll get 0.5 progress per second, essentially. Buy this perk because killers will kick gens and search for you, and your hiding won't last much longer. Or you're trying to keep your distance to the incoming killer or attempt to rescue a hook friend, But the killer, like the popular Hex, Ruin, Eruption, Pain, Resonance, or Oppression, this your problem. If your gen is almost finished or halfway there, well, Connector will solve this problem. One, Connector's not going to solve your problem. I'm sorry to tell you that, buddy. But, sure. The regression penalty is only, other than regression, you're going to keep getting gen progress, so you're going to get 15 seconds of extra progress on top of your particular gen. And as you say here, this is made for perks that, made against perks that are made for when killers particularly kick generators. Then you throw Ruin out there, so you don't even understand that Ruin makes it the where killers can't kick generators. So this perk already actually won't even hard counter Ruin, because this is implemented only for kicking of generators. So, I mean, and also reading this a second time, you can put a connector inside of any generator that has 45% regression. You don't even have to complete 45% regression. So you can literally just hide into a locker when it gets 45% regression, walk over to a box, add a connector to it, and it's set to go. If that person leaves that generator or anything like that, you know, you ain't gotta worry about it. Connector gives you an extra 15%. So once you get close to the end of a generator, add a connector to it, walk away, the generator will complete itself. There's nothing a killer can do. If he kicks it, the connector just activates and finish the gen for them. If he's running Ruin, the connector will activate automatically and finish the last 15% of the generator. So this is essentially not even going to do what you hoped it to do. It's just going to be exploited by survivors to finish any generator and essentially get a 30-second head start on an exit door or something like that, or just to get away from a generator that's about to be complete. The generator is going to complete. Perks like Bitter Murmurs not going to do anything because nobody's going to be within that particular area. And it's essentially going to game break the game, the where survivors can just play ninja. Anytime a generator gets close to completion, killers screw. They can't stop it from being completed even if you interrupt survivors. And the interesting thing about this, it doesn't state anywhere that connectors can't be stacked. So you're getting 15% per connector. 15 times 4, because 4 survivors, is 60 seconds. So that's 60 out of the 80 seconds that you can get on a generator. So as soon as a generator hits 45%, you can instantly finish it. Every single time. It's not a one-time use. Doesn't say anything about that. Finish generators. Like that. But he's not going to say anything about this particular connector issue. He thinks it's balanced and it's perfect. Like, no, it's just going to exploit it. So I said, I wish some of these people that have these particular concepts were forced to play against their own designs. I would be a survivor. He would be killer. I would do, you know, me and my survivor crew. We would do 45% of generators, which we could all just do them together at this point and get them done extremely quickly. Once it gets 45%, everybody connectors up, and we go to the next generator. While he's running around looking for us, all we gotta do, actually we only need 3 people to complete a generator. He's bad at the game, obviously. One of us just needs to loop him. So we'll just loop the absolute Christ out of him, while everybody else just does halfway generator, connectors it, and continues to send things on. Once he gets to the end, maybe he'll get one hook if we're nice enough to give him one. And we're out the door, he's going to realize that, man, maybe my perk needs a little bit more refining done on it. Big Bay Bubba, bless your heart, because you are trying to help him balance some of his things, but nah, nah. Maybe you're trying to include your own. I don't know. I'm not reading it. It's not part of the initial post. I ain't reading yours. In that case, I take back everything I said. There's no way for me to tell how long I've been streaming, huh? No, yeah, it's been 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 50 seconds. Also, apparently, my desktop audio was going off of the wrong audio source, so that's interesting. If that's even working correctly. Oh boy. Random Killer / Survivor Perks idea by Ariel. And guess who's dropping by? Lethargic Sauce. The one guy who shouldn't be replying on any type of killer perks or survivor perk ideas drops by and comments on this particular person's ideas. I gotta click on this. I mean, I have to. And it's a shame that I'm remembering the name of crappy creators and good creators, because I've been doing this for this long. I seen the perk connection and I was like, nah, bro. Let's see. I'm gonna skip on down. I want to know what he says before. Oh, there's Internety that comes in too. All of the names of these people that I've went over their concepts. If you know what I've said about them in the past. Not gonna lie, Connection is just far better. Blood Pack. I'm alright with most of the others, but I really want to run Furious Hunt, Enduring, and Spirit Fury together. Short and sweet as always, Lethargic Sauce. Short and sweet as always. And absolutely useless. Useless is as useless does. Internety, seems like you put a little bit of effort into everything. I might actually go through and read because you are replying on them. Ariel just went back through and has listened to comments, things like that other people are saying, etc., etc. I created 4 survivor and killer perks out of boredom. Well, this has already been stated as being leadership, but I'll read it just in case. You have a strong bond with others and refuse to leave them behind. You just literally just took 2 different terms from 2 different perks and slammed them together. That's actually hilarious. After healing a survivor for 1 health state, both you and that survivor gain a haste effect of 7% for 20 seconds. Your auras will also be revealed to each other for a maximum of 128 meters. Forever, or just doing during the 20 seconds? This Connection has its issues already. Because I mean, you have like second wind that after it activates after healing a health state. So running Connection and second wind would go well together, but it also doesn't make any sense. Why would you want a haste effect after healing? The only time that comes in any effect is if you're healing after taking them down from a hook and the killer is on their way. That's the only type of situation where that's relevant. Also, you don't need a full 20 seconds of haste. You're not even going to use the full 20 seconds of haste. Cut that down from like 5 to 7 seconds maximum. And I think 7 seconds is 7 seconds is way too much. Cut it down to 5 seconds maximum. Then the aura reading at the end of that. I mean, if you're running a key that has the obsession tagged and then you run connection, you'll have a complete and total connection between two other survivors the entirety of the game. I mean, the only time you really need to know where a survivor is during the game is whether they're in the dying state, whether they are hooked, or if they're being chased. It's kind of nice to know that little bit of information now. All of this can be negated by running empathy. You don't want to know where a survivor is if they're just off on their own working on a generator somewhere. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're in chase, it keeps you from going into their area, but I mean, you know, you learn how to work around that when it comes to those types of situations. Generally, if you're heading towards a survivor, they'll either duck and hide or they'll hop a locker or something like that to get out of your way as you come running through. But anyway, connection's an extremely weak part, and the auras being revealed to each other isn't that great. Until the end, you know how to lift other spirits, encouraging them to keep fighting. After the last generator is completed, perk activates. All survivors within 35 meters of you grants 50% increase to healing, sabotaging, vaulting, unhooking, and it lasts until 2 minutes. You realize that if you use until the end in conjunction with Circle of Healing or any other type of healing perks, you're going to have essentially instant healings. So let's say if 2 people are working on a particular survivor in Circle of Healing, it takes like 4 seconds to get a full heal. Having an extra 50% on top of that, boosted by Circle of Healing, of course, adding all of the extra crap onto it, you're going to essentially be unkillable. The killer's not going to be able to hit you twice to down you in any kind of way. As long as all the survivors are together, you have 2 minutes of invulnerability. Survivor gets hit, all the other 3 survivors instantly heal them. Survivor gets hit, they get instantly healed for that entirety of the 2 minutes. Until the end's way too overpowered and needs to be dialed down a lot. Close eye. You have a keen eye, pay attention, blah blah blah. Every time a killer kicks a generator, close eye activates. You gain a token up to a maximum of 5. Each token increases your repair speed by 4%. 5 times 4 is 20. That's a 20% increase of repair speed. On top of that, auras of recently damaged generators are highlighted in white for 20 seconds, and when a generator is highlighted, your repair speed is increased for 15 seconds. Do I even have to mention how dumb that is? I mean, you can implement this, but balancing and all of that's going to be a nightmare. But also, Close Eye has its similarities to other perks and things like that anyway. So, just take a toolbox, you know? Just grab a toolbox. Forget running the Closed Eye perk and taking up a perk slot for this. Grab a toolbox. It's the same thing. Headstrong. You learn how to hold your own in dire situations. After healing or unhooking a survivor, you gain a token up to a maximum of 4. When you're in the killer's tear radius, the token is consumed. Scratch marks, pools of blood are now hidden for 8 seconds. How do I explain this? How do you explain this logically? I'll just explain it by doing the math. Let's say you have 4 full tokens. That's 4 times 8, that's 32 seconds that you're no longer going to leave scratch marks or any types of pools of blood. It's 32 seconds of that. That's enough to escape killer 4 times over. And continue on your merry little way. Yes, it takes either healing or unhooking, but the thing about it is, you didn't add any type of cooldown in between token gain. So anytime that I unhook and then immediately heal, which is what you generally will do in a game, that's 2 tokens, which is 16 seconds of this particular effect. So as long as you're altruistic and you're getting those unhooks, every time you unhook a survivor, you're getting your scrap marks and pools of blood hidden. So when you go for a particular unhook, and I'm going to give you both aspects of why I don't think this perk is that particularly good. Situation 1. If you're unhooking that survivor, and the killer is immediately, coming in that particular direction, and you both scatter before the killer gets there or the killer's on the way, you are essentially stealth for the most part. Whichever way you run or whatever you do, the killer generally isn't going to notice. So you are essentially the teammate that just got unhooked, that didn't get healed or anything like that, is going to be tunneled for another down because that's the only available target. So 1, you're throwing them under the bus if the killer is anywhere in the area after unhooking. Borrowed time ain't gonna save you there when it comes to that. Second case of the same thing, if the killer sees you and both of you are there and you're unhooking and then you're in a healthy state and the other survivor's injured, a scumbag killer, well, I can't say scumbag, a smart killer would immediately tunnel the person that's already down, then turn their attention towards you. They're going to see that you ain't left any type of trail, so they're probably not going to go after you because they're not going to know which way direction you go. They might look around the general area to prevent flashlights, but they're not going to do much. Situation 2, the killer's there as you're unhooking, and then they just immediately chase you. This perk becomes useless because the killer's already going to be on your booty. When that happens, it's not going to matter if you have scratch marks or not unless you're running overcome or something like that with it. They're going to be on you. And it's not going to matter if you're leaving scratch marks or pools of blood or any of that because, well, it's a game of cat and mouse from there. So your particular perks neutralize until you can cut sight lines, and then after that you can try to run away or something like that. But unless you have all 4 tokens, it's going to be extremely hard to get away from a killer that's already locked in on you. They're going to get that hit on you if they elect to chase you. So during that small time you have that speed boost, you have to make some magic happen. If you have hours in the game, it's easy to elude a killer that can't track you. If you don't have hours in the game, you're going to get slapped back down. But again, your headstrong perk is essentially asking the killer, hey, tunnel the guy that I'm unhooking. Go ahead and tunnel him out. Instead of being, giving them the option to come after me, the only thing they're going to find is that particular survivor. That's going to cause tunneling issues. I'm not even going to go over the other side of that because I think just the one issue that I brought up is good enough. And by other side, I mean when you're actively on a generator and the killer comes within tear radius, or is chasing another survivor nearby and your perk activates being useless. That particular line. Killer hunts. Furious hunt. You seek vengeance from those who betray you when you're stunned or blinded. The survivors suffer the exposed status effect for 14 seconds. Why? Why? What's going to happen is killers are going to run the particular items and things like that, or perks that when they get stunned, they're either going to have less of a stun time or the pallet themselves is just going to break on you. After that, your survivor is exposed for 14 seconds and has to get away without getting slapped. So, Furious hunts, not great. When you force a survivor to throw a pallet, they're going to be pre-throwing them, which makes most pallets useless if you pre-throw them. After pre-throwing the pallet, and you go and you kick that pallet, they can't blind you, they can't do anything afterwards, so you're going to have eyes on them most of the time you're chasing them. And if they try to do anything to prevent that, they're going to be exposed. There's no cooldown or anything like that, so I can't just hit you with the 1-2 and then not have to worry about it for a minute. Like, no, every time that I stun or blind you, I'm going to get exposed for 14 seconds. It doesn't stack, so the timer's just going to go up to 14 seconds. So when I stun you and flashlight blind you, probably double blind you, I'm going to have 14 seconds of hidey-ho time, and any killer wearing headphones is easily going to find you and slap you anyway. Easy tracking. Furious hunt would be fine if it didn't necessarily expose for 14 seconds. Way too long. Way too long. Then you have Hex Deceitful. Well, let me go back to Furious Hunt. Furious Hunt should only punish survivors that want to essentially not use the pallet stun time. It's like stunning killer. After you stun the killer with the pallet, you should be on your merry way. Or if you drop a pallet, you should be on your merry way. It should only punish the survivor that wants to stand there, teabag, and then flashlight blind, and then double blind, and do all of that craziness. It should only punish those survivors that stick around, not a survivor that's dropping and going and just happens to get a stun because you're right on their cheeks. Hex Deceitful. Every time a gen is completed, survivors within 26% of completed generators will scream and reveal their location, oblivious for 60 seconds. You're just adding a whole bunch of bullcrap to a particular perk until you think that it sounds good. Just run Bitter Murmur. Just run Bitter Murmur. That's it. Every gen that's completed, any survivors within, I think it's like 15 meters. It's not even ludicrous, like 26 meters. They're exposed to you. I think it's like 3 seconds, then at the end of the game, it's like 10 seconds or something like that. Somewhere like 3 to 5, and at the end, it's like 10 seconds. When the last gen and the exit gates are powered. Cut all of this. It's already a perk that does this. Fearbringer. After hooking a survivor, all injured and dying survivors suffered hemorrhage, broken. This is just a perk pulled from somebody else's forum. And then you added a 9% decreasing healing, sabotage, gen pair, and exit opening speed. No, you're taking other people's crap. At the top, you refuse to be brought down by others. Each time you hook a survivor, you gain 3 tokens up to a maximum of 15. Each token increases generator regression and repair speed by 1%. It's not a very strong perk. It's a very meh perk. Also, you can simplify this. Instead of each time you hook a survivor gaining 3 tokens, why not just each time you hook a survivor you get 1 token, maximum of 5. You don't even include any way for these tokens to go bye-bye. All of these effects, you don't include any type of things for things to go bye-bye. This one's put into a hex, which is kind of meh. It's not really doing much. So, I mean, you have barbecue and chili hook-wise, and you have bitter murmur gen-wise, so it ain't doing much. But none of these have any types of ways to make it go bye-bye. Up there, too, with these. JPA, hopefully you give some insights on these that either I missed or just didn't care to explain. Connection. This one seems like it'd be fun for those last minute heals when the killer runs towards you. Might be quite weak though, although combined with COH, this could be nice, I guess. Short and sweet. He said his piece on it. There's one of the positives that can come from this. It makes it fun. However, somebody's going to get tunneled, is what's going to happen. Until the end, I think this one sounds reasonable. Would even argue this could apply to the whole map, but for less time. After the last gen is completed, all survivors within 35 meters of you gain the increase to everything. You crazy. Close eyes. Feel like this one would reward stealth gameplay, i.e. retreating from a gen when you hear tear radius, hiding, then cranking the gen, which I don't think is healthy personally. Plus general, no to anything which boosts repair speed. Headstrong. Feel like this one will be triggered all the time when you don't want it to. Doesn't last long enough to do any good, as it will activate at the very edge of the tear radius and the killer might not even be coming your directive or anywhere near you. There you go. That's the part of that I didn't want to go through and explain earlier about it just being particularly useless, especially against a killer like Legion that's tear radius goes throughout the entire map when in Feral Frenzy. Or Doctor builds. Any type of killer whose tear radius is huge and can be increased to be huge. Furious Hunt, kind of like this one, just to screw over bully squads. Fun meme perk. That's the blind one. Yeah, blind to expose. You don't, like I said, it's a meme perk, things like that. You don't really need Furious Hunt. Yeah, you got blinded. Get over it. Also, I want to know if that particular thing can, does it work with Lightborn? Do you still get the exposed status effect if you run this with Lightborn? That's a question everybody needs to know. But yeah, the occasional time you run into a squad full of Survive with Friends, or a Twitch TV led SWF, things can happen. Yes, it's kind of like to screw them over, but I mean, you see what happens when I run Starstruck. Starstruck exposes all of them for a long amount of time. So I mean, why wait on the blinds and everything else when you can just Starstruck and anybody within your tear radius? Whoop! Red flag. I generally, when I know I'm being bully squad, I'll pick one up and either accept the stun to expose all of them, or pick one up and then drop them because you know the squad's going to come out and try to intercept you. Pick one up, drop one, or run Mad Grid or something else, or you can keep adding to their timer when people keep running in front of you. Just don't let them know that you have Mad Grid. I mean, they're going to figure it out after the first hit and their timer freezes for 4 seconds, but until then, don't let them know you have it. It's like every time I hit one of you, I'm just going to extend this timer, And like I said, if you see Twitch TV and a whole bunch of other people come in at the same time, like a full squad load in together, then you know you need to switch from regular perks to squad gank tactics. To where you might need to run, Lightborn and Starstruck and things like that to prevent or to protect yourself from being taken advantage of and just absolutely gangbanged. Franklin's Demise is a good anti-gank squad. If you don't want to run Lightborn, Franklin's Demise takes out all options of any items that they have. Lightborn takes out flashlight and flashbangs, blast mines, I'm pretty sure. It takes all of that out, so you don't have to worry about getting trolled like that. I mean, you have your different things. The Mad Grit for when they try to get in front of you. I think it's Mad Grit. That's the carrying one where you have unlimited swings till you hit somebody, right? You can run that. To where if they're trying to body block you, you get an extra 4 seconds on each hit, and it doesn't matter. So even if, like the other day when the guy kept using his toolboxes and sabotage perks to drop hooks, but they were still body blocking me, I was still able to do things because I kept pausing that wiggle timer because they were foolish enough to walk over to me. Agitation stacks well with that. I mean, you have a lot of different opportunities that you can stack up on perks to get what you need done, You just gotta play your games right. This particular perk, yeah, it gives you a little bit of pushback over bully squads, as he says, but it's not a lot of push. Even if you use that exposed status effect, all they have to do is just blind you as you go for a pickup, and the particular person that blinds you obviously is going to run away after he blinds you. So there's that. Hex Deceitful sounds like it could be a reasonably good perk. Might need some sort of buff as a hex perk, to be honest. Maybe a wider radius or survivors at other gens screen. Or just run Bitter Murmur. Fearbringer, this one seems useless as you already sacrificed a survivor. You are usually winning anyway, or it is very late game, which means the decrease in repair speed is useless. I also feel like perks which require people to be injured are too situational against good teams. After hooking a survivor, all injured and dying survivors suffer from hemorrhage broken status effect. For each survivor sacrificed, 9% decrease in healing, sabotage, repair speed, and exit opening speed. Useless? I wouldn't go out as far as to say that it's useless. Fearbringer just rewards tunneling. You want to tunnel a particular survivor out, and any survivors that well, it's good for either a Legion type build where you're running through injuring survivors, and then the last survivor you get to, you then down and cause that repair speed. And then it's map wide. Each survivor sacrifice, you gain a 9% decrease in healing, sabotage, repair speed, but the most important is exit gate opening speed. So I don't see it as useless. The injured aspect of that ain't so great. I mean, you could literally just remove all injured and dying survivors suffer from the hemorrhage and broken status effect. The only person's going to get benefit out of that is Oni. Obviously. I mean, guess you can argue Wraith because pools of blood are easier to see and all of that if you're running the particular perks Wraith-wise, but why would you waste your perk slot on that? You know? So all of that can essentially be gone. I mean, I guess it's good at like a 3-gen situation or survivors who aren't healing. The broken status effect, I guess, can do something there. Maybe if you get a redown, like you hit a survivor going in for a trade, and you slap that survivor down as they trade, you hook up, you hook that guy, and then the guy running away hemorrhages and breaks, so you can get back on track with them easier. I don't know. The first part of that is very niche, and like I said, if you're not Oni or something like that, it's really not imperative to help, but each survivor sacrificed a 9% decrease, more importantly, of sabotaging, Jin speed, and exit gate. Healing's meh. There's so many healing buffs, it's not even relevant to try to nerf healing. Sabotaging, that can add up. 27 is what you're going to have on top of that. 27 sabotage. Well, I guess you'll need one to sabotage, so an 18% increase in sabotaging, I guess, isn't that much. It's like a 0.4 seconds or something like that extra. So I guess that's not relevant. But I mean, an 18%, which is essentially going to be 20% repair speed, taking it longer. 20%, as I went over, it's like 17.5 or 17.25 seconds. Somewhere around there, 17.2 seconds. A little over 17 seconds. Ain't bad if you sacrifice 2 survivors and you have 2 left, and you're in that situation of the cat and mouse hide and seek game. Making them take longer is great, especially if you have ruin on top of that. And then the more important one, the exit gate opening speed. If you drop hatch, boom, and that last survivor has a 27% increase in exit opening speed. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten right to the edge of an exit gate and that survivor just barely being able to open up that exit gate and escape before I can get them. Like my weapon literally scratches their back as they're going out. Any type of increase in exit opening speed's always good. I would not go as far as to say Fearbringer is useless. At the top, did you mean to say it decreases repair speed, or is it supposed to boost both regression and repair? If it boosts both, then this perk makes no sense to run, as you can assume against a good team, someone is always repairing a gen. So even if you pressure someone off gens to get value on the regression, you are just losing more progress on the other gens. What? Each time you hook a survivor, gain 3 token, one token up to 5. Each token increases gen regression and repair speed by 1%. Make this 3%, make this 1, make this 5. Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, it's not good, it's not bad. You'll get a 15% repair speed. Penalty by the end of it. That's what? An extra 15 seconds a generator after you hook 5 survivors. I mean, it's gonna obviously need to be balanced. It's good, but it's bad at the same time, because the increased gen regression speed's not gonna really be relevant. Because I mean, like, Ruin has a 200%. It makes it a 1 to 4. Making an extra 15% on top of that's not gonna do much. I understand what you're saying there, and repair speed wise, you're only taking off a little bit off the top. But like I said, this can be balanced at the top. It can be balanced to make it better. If anything, you could actually make this a Scourge Hook perk and then rebalance this to have a greater effect on top of it. Or you can make it just affect one single survivor and screw them over till they break a totem or something, if you wanted to be a little sadistic about it. So this guy has gone through and has pulled every single perk and has provided, it's not even constructive feedback, they've just stated negative things about it to author. Never said anything about how he could fix the perks or do anything like that. Literally just threw shit at him. And then somebody else came back through and voted this up. This is a shit post, is what this particular individual's post is saying. The best thing that he said here was kind of like this one, the screw over bully perks. Then he doubles down and saying it's a fun meme perk. So we're looking for constructive criticism. You said what's weak about it, tell him what's strong about it, give him some sort of constructive criticism about things. He actually took the time. I mean, he said it was out of boredom, but he still asked for feedback. This is a negative shit post. You look at this, you say, oh, well, this is bad about this perk, this is bad about this perk, this is bad about this perk. But he never said really anything generally to say, hey, you can enhance this perk by doing that. This is the wrong side of constructive criticism that you want. This is just nagging. This is shit posting. You're not helping him. Excuse me. He even went back through and edited something to make something else something different. So there you go. This has already been established that this one is just a repetitive perk. He came back through and did all the other things, you know. Well, two people. No, this is the same guy. Leader already exists. Cool. Can't speak for if the numbers are balanced or not, but I like the killer perk ideas. Why bother with 3 totems on at the top toe? Just making one token and triple the effect per token. That's what I'm saying. He says he's not a good idea. He's not a reviewer. He doesn't really know anything about numbers or anything. However, this is an obvious problem. This is constructive criticism. It might not be completely positive, but it's constructive enough to say, hey, why leave it 3 and 15 when you can make it just 1 and 5? This is the type of criticism we're looking for. He doesn't say your perk shit, fix this. No, he says, hey, there's a little issue that I think I should point out. Here you go. This guy says that the second one was leader already, and that's already been edited and taken care of or whatever. Out of all of this shit posting that this particular individual made, the guy read through and found the only constructive criticism that the guy gave him was the decreases and increases or whatever the spelling mistake he made. And he replies back and says, whoops, that's an actual honest to God mistake, and fixes the only point of feedback that he gave him. And the rest of that is just flapping in the wind. Goes back in, goes to this guy, says that he didn't even notice how close it was to the leader. He tried to fix all of that, etc., etc. Dougman comes in and points out, you know, the things that's happening. He says he's really bad with numbers, so he just kind of guessed. He was tired when he made this, so he didn't think about the token thing. This is a very good constructive feedback and a very good response to that. I mean, he didn't have to say he was on 0 energy and include all of these extra excuses on top of things, but I mean, thanks for the feedback. Didn't even think about the token thing. I can change it. If you are the type of person, which I mean, I do it too, especially when it comes to Rocket League, but I'm also actively trying to explain to my viewers that are watching me play Rocket League my thought process. So I do fall into this rut, and it kind of makes me a hypocrite, but I mean, I'm forcing the words out of myself. This isn't something I would generally, things that I say on stream, I generally wouldn't say, in real life. I'm not going to be sitting here with a friend saying, oh man, so-and-so's gone up to here, they're doing this, I'm going to put it up and behind them, go around, pass it, etc., etc., When I'm playing Rocket League, I solo queue. There's no way for me to communicate what I'm doing. When I play with Macho, we have limited communication. It should be more, but we do have basic, albeit limited communication, and it's a little bit different. But streaming-wise, if something happens, I will give a general explanation about what's happening because I'm on that open line directly from my brain to screen. I'm just saying things as they pop into my head and trying to go with the flow. Unless I really need to think about what I'm saying. So I might really throw out something like, I'm bad with numbers, I suck at the game, I don't know how to code this properly, etc. Or, I ain't had sleep, this is why my content's crap. That's different when you're live streaming versus when you're writing something. The I'm really bad with numbers doesn't really need to be added there. I kind of just guessed with them, really doesn't need to be added there because it makes the rest of your content look bad. Running on 0 energy right now, didn't even think about the token thing. Literally just a line of excuses. All he needed to really say was, thank you for the feedback or something along those lines, If you want to say I'm bad with numbers or something like that, just keep the excuses limited to like 1. I was running really low on energy when I made this concept, so I overlooked the 3 and 15. I'll go back through and correct it to 1 to 5 or do whatever, or edit or do whatever it needs to be done to get the problem fixed. And then go and fix it. But this is a good example of he giving him constructive feedback and then him generally answering back to him. He didn't thank the guy for the feedback or anything like that or show any type of appreciation, which is kind of meh, but it's the 21st century. People think being rude's a joke and it's a way of life. And then when they go out in public or somebody else is rude to them, they get super offended and want to say something about it. It's like 3 seconds ago, you just told somebody to do this and that and something else, which you should never say to another human being, regardless, because you don't know where they've been through or where they come from. Then somebody says that you're fat or something, and then you want to get all pissed and cry and run away and all this other stuff. No, I'm not, you're fat, and then exit the call or leave the chat or whatever. Like I said, how about you just do what people say? When they say treat people the way you want to be treated, I mean they mean that. You treat somebody like crap online because, well, you don't know them and you don't particularly care. One, that's towards the way of becoming a sociopath, but if one of your coworkers that you have to work with or that you've been work with for a bunch of years tells you to shut up and they start treating you like you treat people online, then you can't really say anything about it because you're the piece of shit saying the shit online. And a lot of people think that it's different, and that's where the problem comes, and the cyberbullying and things like that appear, is because people can't differentiate between real life, virtual life, and gaming, and then, everything else. It's all blurring together nowadays. People aren't realizing that they're talking to other living, breathing other people. That, and they just don't care. You go online and you're like, I'm sad because my dad died. People are going to joke about your dad dying and all that. They're going to be rude. Some people will be supportive and be like, oh my god. Other people will be like, oh, he deserved it. And don't realize how extremely rude and how hurtful they're being. Then somebody says that to them in real life and they get all messed up. Oh man, my mom died. And somebody says, well, she deserved it. And you look at them like, what the hell did you just say to me? It's the same effect. Just because the person that's in front of you can't punch you in the face for being just way out of bounds doesn't mean that gives you the right to say something. And I wish the laws were more strict when it comes to things like that, because lawsuits would be flying. People wouldn't be talking the way they want once they realize that, hey, somebody says something that affects you the same way online that it affects you in real life, you could just file a lawsuit. The law will go to their house, pick them up, throw them in jail. You can sue them, get everything that they own, and then go on with your life. Because they couldn't shut their mouths and be a decent individual online. I think everybody should have a pseudo online license access. That before you even log online, you have to put in who you are in a card. And everything that you do or say, which I mean, there's going to be a black market that has fake cards and things like that, but everything, who you are, what you do, and what you say is tracked. And if you tell somebody to get rid of themselves or anything like that, I think you should be responsible for that. Especially if they do it, then you should be 100 times as responsible for that. And you should spend some time in prison for that, for being an accessory to suicide. Assisted suicide's a crime, people. If somebody's having a bad time and you say something rude to them and they do it, guess who's going to jail for it? You are. So think about that before you say something rude to another individual. They just might do it. Either way, Internet comes in with these 2 cents, and let's see what he has to say. Connection, like the perk idea, as it seems to be a combination of blood pack and aftercare. Okay, until the end, like the idea, but it's similar to leader, but does make up for it by making the survivor a boon totem, basically. Close eye, this is too powerful to be in game in its current state, gives information to survivor on top of increasing gen speeds by more than 20% for an individual. Each time a killer kicks a gen would mean that it would become the most powerful survivor perk in the game, as the killer literally could do nothing to regress a gen outside of Jolt or the new Scourge hook from the artist. From the way it is described, you would at max levels have 20% speed on top of extra speed whenever a killer kicks a gen, and also could be abused with PTS, resilience, and self-care. PTS. PTS. What is PTS? $1,033 P's. PTS. Actually, I can just do this. DBD PTS. That's PTB. I need PTS. That's PTB. Dead by Daylight perk. PTS. So not even Google knows what PTS is. I have no idea. If you know what PTS is, please let me know in the chat. No idea. Headstrong seems to be a good perk and does allow a stealthy getaway from the killer after unhooking if they are far enough away. Yeah, but you're not explaining the obvious problems. Furious Hunt, like the idea of exposed status effect for a stun or blind, but time would need to be increased. Good survivors would never really be threatened by this perk at the current time limit. I would say at max increase to 30 seconds. The exposed status effect, you want to be increased that to 30 seconds. You really love giving that exposed status effect. Jesus Christ. I've already said my 2 cents on this. I'm not going to go over his comment and disprove everything. Deceitful, a bit underpowered in its current state and is essentially a weaker, bitter murmur. I think that since hex totems are finite, then there needs to be consequences when they are broken. I know! I went over an entire concept disproving this theory. In that case, I would say keep the effects, but tie it to the totem being broken or blessed. Fearbringer. Good perk idea, a good alternative to Dying Light, in my option, as it decreases to Survivor while not buffing Obsession. At the top, don't give a token cap, but buff effect to 2%. I'm not even gonna... Nope, not even gonna do it. And then Lethargic Sauce, short but sweet. That's what he's known for. Everything short but sweet. It's not even sweet, it's just short. You're known for exposing and then trying to penalize survivors for breaking totems. You love status effects. Short guy that don't explain anything, he's known for status effects. I don't know if I've done anything about or from Orali in the past. Or Orelli, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not sure. It's not a name that's familiar to me, so I guess that's a good thing. Ali Chips, I've done things from him. Basement Goblin, I think I might have done one of his. Ryan the Narrator, of course. I just remember Clyde's picture, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was doing the arm wrestle event, I'm pretty sure. I think that's where that's from. If that's even Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can see how small it is. You can see what I'm looking at, and I have bad eyes. Either way, that's going to be it for today's Dead by Daylight review. I'm sorry for it being a little bit short, even though it's been like 2 hours. I have to cut it short because I have to figure out the Splinter Cell double agent problem. And I also have to get... Well, I have other things that I want to do today. It's not work related or anything like that. Well, unless I make it work related. But I do have things that I actually need to do today. But, yeah. Thank you for stopping by. And as always, supplement your lifestyle. And I don't know what that void.fyi is. I mean, do I need to start going through and banning all of these different bots or whatever is coming through? Or is this some sort of... Is this a bot through Restream that I'm not setting up? Is there something I'm supposed to be putting, you know, like when the bots pop up through Stream and they're like putting their Instagram and everything else that pops there? Is that something that I'm not setting up and I need to go back in and set it up to say words? Or is this something else? I have no idea. I'll have to look into that as well. But thank you for stopping by. I'm going to try my best to get Double Agent out today. If it doesn't come out today, well then you know I at least tried my best and looked into almost every possibility to try and fix what's going on. Worst case scenario, I might just run it through as is and just accept it in whatever its base original form and work around it. Oh boy. Anyways, I'm out of here, guys. Supplement your lifestyle, and I'll see you hopefully within the next couple of hours.